Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another client success interview. I wanted to introduce you guys to one of our students, Ryan Phipps. He is a student who has grown an extraordinary amount over the last year. He just hit his first 5,500 month, which is incredible, especially given his location, where he's from, and his backstory. So we're going to dive into, what he's learned through PTBI, what he's learned as an entrepreneur, and how he's been able to grow his business up to 5,500 a month consistently. So Ryan, why don't you go ahead and give people a little quick introduction as to who you are, where you're at, why don't you just fill them in on what your life looks like today?
Yeah, so I'm 20 years old. I currently live in New Hampshire. I've been around this area most of my life, and fitness was always in my life in some capacity. I grew up playing soccer, so that's kind of how I stayed active. And, it was always just a stress outlet for me. That was something that I enjoyed doing a lot. And long story short, I ended up, not playing soccer in college and dropping out of college because it really wasn't making me happy. I was going because other people wanted me to. I felt the pressure of that, and I got a job as a personal trainer in between high school and college. And what I found was that I really loved being physically active in general again. I always felt like a skinny kid too, which is something that fitness kind of allowed me to escape. And then through working in a gym for 2 years, I just developed that passion for fitness so much. And the story about how I actually got hooked up with Zach was honestly crazy. So I was working for 2 years as a personal trainer. I had saved up a ton of time for vacation, and I was planning on in that week's window that I had saved up to figure out how to do all of this on my own. So I'd been following Katha
Mm.
on Instagram for a long time, and I think it was either her or your birthday, and she posted, this guy changed my life, all this type of stuff. And you had sent me a DM because at the time I was just making content in my room. I had a website, just posting for fun, and that was within the 2 weeks in which I was figuring out how to do this. So then I hooked up with Zach, and it was something that just literally all the stars aligned for me perfectly to quit my job and start my journey as a business owner.
That's incredible, man. Yeah, I do remember how we got connected through Keitha. I think that's ironic. For anybody who's listening is not familiar, Keitha is a student of ours that grew with us in 2021. She's done really, really well. So it's cool that we were able to get connected just because you followed her, you saw that she worked with me, and then you eventually fell into my ecosystem. But I know that this year we had you out in the San Diego retreat, which for you, I'm assuming was pretty far out your comfort zone. I think you remember saying that was your first time traveling on a plane, correct?
Yeah, since I was one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so your first time ever traveling on a plane, you get on the plane, you travel to San Diego, which is literally across the country, and you're going to be staying with 40 people that you've never met before. You came here all by yourself. What was that experience like? Because I know it was pretty life-changing for you, but like, what was it like to show up, not knowing anybody, by yourself, and experiencing what you experienced at the retreat, and then going back home, pretty much a changed person? What was that like?
It's crazy, honestly. The way that I always tell the story to people is that's really when I realized that my dreams could become a reality. I was sitting at the dinner, actually. I think I was near you and Ryan, actually, and hearing you talk about, scaling from, 200 to 250K and, your long-term plans and that type of stuff. It felt crazy to be in an environment where people could say those things and people around me weren't like, what do you mean? Like, you didn't go to school, like get a job. It's like you guys were literally doing it. And then taking that home and putting that back into my business and seeing how this about a month and 10 days will be a year since I've quit, went full time on my own. And it's just crazy to see, I completely believe in these things now. Dreams do come true. And it's, definitely a result of that.
I love it, man. So let's rewind a little bit. What was your experience like personal training? Because I know a lot of people here passionate about fitness. They're wondering what the best opportunity for them is. How would you compare and contrast your experience with in-person training versus online coaching and working for yourself?
Yeah, so the difference between personal training and online coaching for me so far has been with personal training, I almost felt a lot of the time like I was enabling people's bad habits, showing up with the hour and a half for them a day, it might be. And then, they might go and ruin it the rest of the time because I can't work with them on their nutrition or mindset because they would only come in for, again, that chunk of time. With coaching, I like to say it's almost like playing chemist for somebody's life, where if I truly do want to get this person results, knowing how to do the bicep curl is such a small part of actually getting somebody results. So the trade-off between online coaching and in-person personal training has been everything to me to have that freedom too.
I love that. So I think there's two parts here. What would you say the benefit for the client is with online coaching, and what would you say the benefit is for the coach with online coaching?
Yeah, so for the client, I would say results are much more calculated in terms of there's no guessing. Somebody who can look at your nutrition, who can ask you about sleep, check in with you mentally, and program exercises. There are really no gaps. In terms of the benefits for me, it's it's been amazing. You know, like you said earlier, I hadn't been able to travel much. I've been able to travel a good amount now, do the check-in calls, that type of stuff with people, and it really hasn't ever been an issue. And it's not an opportunity I ever would have gotten without this.
I love that. And are you making more working for yourself than you were as a personal trainer?
Absolutely.
You're probably not working less, but physically less taxed. They're probably mentally less taxed too.
Absolutely, because that was always the thing for me too, is within that 8 hour workday, then I would want to go and train myself too. So that was like I was burnt out from training other people, and then getting to go to the gym for myself was the outlet, but it kind of became a lot more stressful for my own training because I was spending all day in the gym.
So, what was it like with your environment? Because I know that this is something that we talked about a lot when you came out to San Diego. Is how important the people around you are, how important the mindsets around you are. And I know that you grew up in New Hampshire, which isn't exactly an entrepreneur hub. It's not exactly a fitness hub, and so I could imagine that you're on a little island by yourself out there, surrounded by the people you're surrounded by. So, what was it like breaking free from those limiting beliefs that were surrounding you? And I'm sure your parents, your friends probably told you, like, with your online business, you probably go get a job, things like that, but you didn't listen, and here you are working for yourself, making more money than you've ever made, and actually doing the damn thing, and you're still there. You're still around that environment. So what's that like?
It's been intoxicating in a way. As a young kid, I did always believe that what I wanted to do was something that I would define as different and, I guess successful by my own standards, but definitely like going to San Diego and seeing that there's actually places where it's like I don't feel like an outcast for feeling like that was crazy. But being around here, it definitely is something that, honestly, like going through high school and that age, unless you're drinking in someone's basement or you ski in the winter, there's really, not that much to do around here. So, I'm very happy that that light didn't burn out that I felt like I always had. And I think had I gone to college and gone through the traditional path that most people do, that probably would have been taken out of me at some point.
That's crazy. And so, how did you resist those beliefs that other people put on you? How did you, grow up in an area where the traditional path is so prevalent, and yet here you are at 20 years old saying, "No, I'm going to do my own thing." Like, what was going through your mindset to get through those thought patterns?
Definitely having a background in sports helped just in terms of like I got very addicted to the physical progress that came with the gym, but also like hearing so strongly about your why. My why was always my mom was very sick growing up and had health issues. And as a result of that, like temptations were always something that I saw as kind of like a gateway or a path to, poor medical status and that type of stuff. So getting to help people do the opposite through coaching, through training was something that was addicting because I was like, helping people lose weight. To them, it was weight, but to me, it was, I knew the other side of what health could be. And that's really like why I didn't want to go down that for myself.
I love that. Now, what was the process like for you becoming a personal trainer, then transitioning to a business owner? Because I feel like a lot of people running your own business and scaling it up to $5,500 a month requires multiple skill sets. One, you have to be a knowledgeable trainer, but that's not enough to become successful. You also have to be a knowledgeable business owner and entrepreneur. And so, what was that process like of you going through that transformation of becoming a business owner, becoming self reliant, becoming self responsible, and getting through the challenges and roadblocks that you face building your business?
It was a time in which, and it doesn't feel like it's over by any means, but definitely a time that I had to let my ego go, go to the pros. Like it was the type of thing where had I not invested with you, taken the advice and actually acted on it, it was something that it could have taken me a lifetime to figure those things out. So definitely making the initial investment, learning from you guys, but also just believing and really knowing that like, throughout many things you'd said, like you're going to feel these certain things. And the closer and closer I get in the weirdest way, like the more lonely and lonely it feels sometimes.
Yeah, no, you absolutely get humbled. I always say when you start a business and you start down the path of entrepreneurship, the first thing that you're going to feel is you're going to feel humbled because you're going to realize how much you have to learn. But I feel like you did a really great job at showing up every single week and asking questions, and not only asking questions from the coaches, but asking questions from the people in the community around you too, which is also why I believe that you've been able to grow so successfully with where you're at such a young age. Because for the people listening, you got to remember you're 20 years old. So that's really really, really incredible. What would you think is the biggest thing that you learned about business through PTBI that can help someone get started, and also the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself through PTBI?
I think that from a business point of view, it really is about serving people. If you get attached to the financial figure or whatever it may be, because I remember making my first couple $100s online and thinking like that was really cool. And I've had a couple conversations in the past week actually with people just because, like you mentioned other students, I've been talking to Ali and Steve about, how I got through that plateau and that type of stuff financially. So I totally kind of have felt like I was so concerned with getting to 3K from 2K that, I skipped 3, 4, hit 5, and then it was something that like just the feeling was always belief, but I really switched my focus to speaking to people that want to be helped instead of just like thinking about making more money per month. So definitely like being able to serve people and having that be the primary reason for why I'm doing things instead of like I need to sign someone else and make more money. That's been the biggest thing for me.
Beautiful. What about what you've learned about yourself? What would you say?
I've learned about myself that I need to accept help sometimes. Never really liked getting help with anything, and I still don't with some things, but it's been crazy to see that, from a business point of view, outsourcing has been really cool, with content and that type of stuff, just how much that helps. But also with myself, I've really learned that like you have to put it all on you. That's at the end of the day. I have to trust myself to succeed, but also like not beat myself to death when I fail because it's not really failing. It's just part of those ups and the downs of this journey.
I love that. You have a really, really strong mindset for someone who's so young. I mean, when I was 20 years old, I was freaking busting tables, partying. I knew I wanted to be successful, but I didn't have the help to help me get there. And so you're already leagues ahead from where I was at your age. So I'm really, really excited to see where you're going to go in the future. So, you completed PTBI last year, about a year now. You're going into 2023 with a whole new skill set about how to build a business, how to make money for yourself, and how to help people. So, what are the goals that you have for this year now that you know what to do? What do you want to accomplish?
I definitely want to hit my first 10K month this year. That's kind of the next benchmark for me that I'm confident in. But also, more than anything, I want to have so many transformations that I've been able to take people through and just, kind of be able to work with many different people, but also just learn more and more about how I can actually do that. After getting some initial progress for people, it's been really cool to see that there are patterns in people who I think are really going to succeed, and then people who, tend to go through the motions with things, and being able to filter out the people in their community right now who absolutely have what it takes to succeed too.
I love it. So, question for you. This is a little bit more technical. You being out in New Hampshire, I'm sure you probably didn't grow up in a big city by any means. So, what are you doing for lead gen right now? How are you getting your clients? And what advice do you have for someone who's also in a small town who doesn't believe that it's possible because they're out in the sticks? What advice do you have for them?
I would definitely say start putting it out there. Even before I joined PTBI, it was something that I was recording videos in my room. I had a passion for it. So like I definitely wouldn't say try to force just, attracting people with something that you don't like, but I was into fitness. I was already making content on my own. So being able to do that and then go into PTBI with the background knowledge, people started to know me as the fitness person before I even started the business. Use the law of attraction, whether you believe in that stuff or not. I always think in a literal sense where like, let's say I want something for Christmas, but I never mention it. Like I can't really be disappointed if I didn't say it.
Mhm.
Someone might not listen, but they might. But with this type of stuff, definitely too, if I work with athletes, how is someone ever going to know that if I don't say it? They're just going to think you're a little generic and then you don't really hit anybody.
Dude, that's such an amazing quote. I might have to steal that. That's so great. So then, what are you doing for leads then? Where are your leads coming from? What's your strategy there? And how are you able to scale your business up to 5,500 a month?
Yeah, the biggest difference was listening to you and Ryan on several calls about calls to action, getting people to interact, starting conversations, and then also investing into Ali, another PTBI student services, and having her really help me because her brain works very well for that type of stuff. She's creative in those ways, and admitting that I didn't know, and also that I was kind of lazy with it sometimes was everything for me to really start to scale.
Dude, so would you say that investing in Ali's services has helped you realize how on top of your content and call to actions you need to be in order for you to get those results? results?
Absolutely. I would compare it to kind of like when you're operating purely off of motivation, where, I would be nitpicky with things about my content, where she's like, "It really doesn't matter. Like you can use the same video many times and no one else is going to think about it the way you are." And that's been absolutely everything. Because when I was trying to be perfect, I'd put myself in a box that was so small and I couldn't get out. But now it's like that box never even existed. I was just trapping myself in there.
I love it. I love it, man. That's incredible. So, as we're nearing towards the end of this interview, what advice do you have for people who are 20 years old? They want to start a career in fitness. They live in a small town. The people around them aren't very supportive or understanding. What advice would you give?
I think, I would kind of go back to what we were talking about earlier and rolling the dice on yourself, especially within the niche of fitness, you have to lead by example and it's going to take the path or the road less traveled. The thing that's so important, you can't live and preach fitness if you're going out every single night and not making any gains for yourself, but then telling people how to do the same thing. So I think that, whatever your vision is, like you have to start living the life and then use that law of attraction. It's literally for me started with training some of my friends for free before even getting into this. And, just they knew I was into fitness and that's where the confidence came from. And from there, it's just the snowball effect of all the good stuff that you put out there coming back to you.
I love it. Incredible, man. Really appreciate you taking the time to share your story and talk about your success. Where can people find you online?
Yep. So my Instagram is Phipps World 17. So PHIPPSWRLD 17. And then if you're interested in coaching, Body Math Fitness is my coaching business.
Awesome. Thank you so much, brother.